Hello, this is George Hayes, and this is an introduction to C programming. Tutorial 1, we're going to be using the codeblocks IDE, and this is going to be a basic project. I'm just click on Create New Project, Console Application, Next, and this is a C program, not C++, so click on C, and I'm going to label mine C001. I'm be storing it in this case in my programming directory, and you can store it in whatever directory you choose to store it in. And this page here, we're just going to leave the same as it is. Move your mouse over to the left side, and we're going to expand sources to reveal the main.c file. Double click it and it expands, and you'll see there's some basic code in there to start with. And we're going to go ahead and use this and look at what it has. First two lines you see here are include lines that include header files to libraries that have already been pre-compiled that provide you several functions in each that you can use. The top one is a standard IO, and the second one down is standard library. All right. The next line you see is int main. Alright, main is the primary function used in all C programs. It's the very first one called. Int is for integer, which is the return type of the function. This means that we're going to return a value, that's an integer from this program to whatever program or whatever calls it. Could be the operating system and so on. Alright, functions is limited as far as in size, is that everything's included inside these brackets. You have a beginning and ending bracket. Alright, the next line is print f. Alright, and it's actually a function that's provided by the libraries in the previous two includes, and this function here is going to sit there and be sent this text or string of text inside, and it's going to print out this string. Now it says hello world, and then the /n. /n is for a new line. Alright, and if you notice, there is a semicolon at the end to designate the ending of the function call in this case. The next line is return 0, which is the value that we're sending back to the previous function, because we don't have any other data, or to the operating system, we don't have any data at this time that necessarily needs to actually be sent back, but we're going to return a 0 value to it. And in this IDE, there's several ways you can compile this. You click build as far as by going through the build menu and then hitting the build like this, or hitting Control F9. There's also this button here where you can hit build. We'll go ahead and do that. If you look down at the bottom, it says it built and with 0 errors and 0 warnings. It took no time basically. And the output size of the file was 25.28 kilobytes and so on. It tells you which directory is actually stored in. Okay, so we're going to add another line to this, and we're going to put in whatever you want here, and I'm going to leave the semicolon off the end intentionally here so we can see what happens when we compile it without it. And if you look down here, you'll see that it produced an error, and it says line 8. If we click on that, which shows here, and it says error expecting a semicolon before return. Okay, so it has to be before the return, and that would be the semicolon here that we're missing. If we hit build again, it completes it and is compiled. We can then go ahead and run the program, and you can run it either by going to the build menu again and clicking run, or Control F10. or you can hit the run button here. And as you can see, it says hello world, I am George. Alright, and the process return to 0, execution time 0 and 0 seconds, and press any key to continue. We'll go ahead and hit any key continue in a second, but this portion down here is actually added in by the debugger or the IDE system so that you can view it when it calls it. If you run this from a command prompt, it will not display this. Anyway, that's going to conclude the first tutorial, and we'll go on to the next. Thank you.